I'm not used to hearing myself. Being on the job,
Right.
You don't hear yourself at all.
I hear myself all the time.
Yeah, we spend so much time hearing ourselves now, right? Because we're listening to edits and listening to like.
On the job, I hear myself all the time.
Really?
I have conversations with myself all the
Wow.
time.
Okay.
Oh, yes, that's true.
That's I mean actually hearing myself. Yeah, that's a good point though, John.
Like, even I need professional expertise.
Yeah, the voices in my head are loud and strong all the time here.
As long as you don't win an argument with yourself, I think you're all right.
Yeah, constantly losing the battle with myself.
Yeah, that's where I'm actually. Yeah, I'm more concerned about losing the arguments with myself a lot.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
What?
Say whenever you're ready, you can go.
Dude, you're throwing me under the bus on this one. Actually, why don't you do this one because you have a better natural intro for Jimmy because you know him so well.
Oh, I guess that's probably true. All right. You sold me, buddy. Welcome, everybody, to the I Shower After Work podcast. We are in the East Side Job Trailer again today. With me, as always, is John across the desk. How are you, buddy? How was your week?
It's fantastic, man. Working with a good group of guys. The job is absolutely insane, as always, because fucking schedules, but whatever.
We say it all the time. Schedules, the one thing keeps the jobs from getting done and keeps them getting done. So,
Right.
Necessary evil.
Right. But going good. How about you? How was your week?
Not too bad, man. Real quiet. Had a fun little overnighter this week. Changing out some search depression stuff. Turned out to be funny. Had a little issue getting the stuff back online. Finally got everything to turn back on. And the guy from the refrigeration company walks out about 12:45 a.m. and goes, yeah, that breaker that was tripping, it's still tripping. Me and my buddy look at each other. Oh, God. Fuck. We go to walk inside, and he goes, April Fools.
Yeah.
12:45 on the first. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Good sense of humor.
Yeah,
That
we laughed later, but in the moment, I was like, oh, I'm going to kick that guy's ass, maybe.
Well, and what you were saying earlier to me is that it hit home a little bit harder because you were having massive problems with it, and it just would not go right.
Massive problems. Scary problems. Put on the 40 cal suit problems.
Yeah.
Like, cleared people out of the room in case the gear exploded problems. Yeah, it wasn't fun. But we got through, so here we are. Well, we're excited. The season of guests continues. We've got another great guest with us today.
For sure.
Father, husband. He's had varying levels of education within construction. I think is going to be real interesting, from basic hammer driving all the way up to running cranes. So I'm excited. Welcome, Jimmy Phillips, to the podcast, buddy. How are you?
I'm all right. Well, thank you for having me.
Of course.
Jimmy,
And
it's
then,
good to have you here.
in the spirit of honesty, I'm also excited because Jimmy is my brother-in-law, and we've got to know each other real well over the last number of years, and I know he's got some great stories to tell us, so it'll be fun today.
Yeah.
First and foremost, man, you're a local boy. Tell everybody you grew up, married, all that. Give them the quick background of Jimmy Phillips.
All right. Well, yeah, east side of St. Paul till about the middle school age, I guess. And we moved out further to the east, in a suburb, and was there for a while. I'll mention one of the first jobs. I was a paper boy for the St. Paul Pioneer Press.
Nice. How long did you deliver papers? I've heard some of these stories. So.
Yeah, so I think I was middle of the pack. There was a couple buddies that already had one, and then I would help them, and then I got my own, and so I'd say a year and a half, 2 years. It was basically working toward a goal of a computer of all things, right? I mean, yeah, let's get me a computer so I can. We used to download video games on a computer, right? And it was dial-up, and it'd take 6 hours.
What era are we talking? Like Amiga, Commodore 64?
Well, I had a 64, traded up for a bicycle, of course, because, I had a bicycle that was the 10-speed that I used for the paper route, but I wanted a fun bicycle. So I got the fun bicycle that kept on the paper route, and then I got an Amiga. That was pretty much the end of the paper route. And I'm like, no, now I'm this close to wanting to do something else. That was two papers a day. I mean, I'm not complaining. Believe me, all I did was ride my bike and walk around anyway. So, all right, I might as well throw this sack over my shoulder. But the papers back then were novels, dude. Sunday, I spent 2 hours just putting the 3 pieces of paper together. And then you go out there and you had to keep coming back to your corner to reload your bag and keep going. I mean, it got worse as the weather got worse because the ads got bigger for Christmas. You know,
Right.
The Black Friday ad was redonkulous. I mean, it would take, and poor mom get the calls, you know. She's just telling him, he's out there. He hasn't been home, so he's out there.
Eventually, you're going to get your paper. Like,
So-
yeah. That was something I didn't realize. You had recently, we were having a party one night, and you were telling some stories, and what some of them were back in the day where you were delivering papers. I didn't realize you guys had to bag those papers up. I thought you just showed up and they were all ready. You just load them in, take off.
So no, cube truck. Well, okay, the daily, you know, the Monday through Saturday, those were daily. You just went to your corner, popped up bands, and put it on, and they were thin papers. Thursday tend to be a little bigger, but it was twice a day. You went in the morning before school, and then you did your afternoon route when you got out of school, then was right to baseball practice or whatever practice, football practice, whatever. You had to get home to do that and then get to practice, you know.
Was that the same paper, or was there like an afternoon edition?
No, yeah, St. Pioneer Press had, well, okay, so Pioneer Press was morning and the Dispatch was the evening.
Oh, okay, so I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering if some people got their morning paper in the afternoon. That's what I was thinking. Like,
Usually nobody got both.
Okay.
And it was about 35 in the morning and about 28 in the evening, and then I had some Sundays only.
and that's just the temperature.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you.
Oh, I'm sure.
So then it was like, I was upwards of 68 papers on Sunday.
Yikes. And that's the big, because obviously they have all the ads, and there's more like the weekend news.
It was character building, right? Put hair on your chest, and believe me, I got enough of that. So
They definitely did always say that was a character building experience. Delivering pizzas, character building.
Right.
No,
but I, never really had to ask, unless it was major purchases. Never really had to ask my parents for money from the time I was. Well, since I could ride my bike, I was hustling all over the place. You know, I was doing all kinds of shit for all the old timers in the neighborhood all the time. What do you guys need? Well, run to the store, get me a pack of cigarettes. Back then, you wrote a note and you sent a 5-year-old kid to the store for cigarettes. I'm not kidding you either.
Oh,
Be
I
careful,
remember
Jimmy.
the days, yeah.
Be careful, Jimmy. You're aging yourself, man.
That's all right. No, that's all right.
That's not even, yeah. I remember the same thing. Having an aunt give me $5 and go, yeah, give me 2 packs of smokes and spend the rest on whatever you want. The amazing part of that story used to be that I was 7 or 8. And now the amazing part is I got 2 packs of smokes and there was change left for me to buy candy and shit.
Right.
Well, okay,
That's the time change for me.
I had, what do I call them? Clients. I had so many people that were like, they'd see me ride my bike and they hailed me over. Okay. I was going to that store so many times that the owner of the store, this is just a great story too, because the owner of the store knew my mom because she grew up in the same neighborhood. She also knew my uncles, my cousins. He was friends with, I said she, he was friends with my grandparents, and his dad, the guy that owned the place before him, just on the corner of White Bear Avenue and Maryland Avenue. So I was running these things so much, and he'd be, take a donut, take a couple candy bars. All of a sudden, I'm getting like 4 candy bars, and I'm meeting up with my friends here. You know, Lou says, "Here you go." And I just like, really?
Jimmy handed out cigarettes like Goodfellas.
Well,
Make sure your mom gets that.
I don't want to say I was smoking at 5, but you know.
Oh, there's certainly an early thing. I recall because it was 2 things that came together. It was like a friend of my uncle. I was going to the store anyway. Hey, get me some chewing tobacco. Here's some money. Spend the rest on yourself. Like, great. This was when they had party lines in Cape Breton. So one phone number or one line for multiple places and had a different ring. Mm-hmm. So yours was like ring, 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 or one ring, or like, right? And it was a new person behind the counter who didn't recognize me because I didn't live there. I vacationed there with my mother, visiting family. I never actually like lived there. So this person now has to call my uncle's house to verify that this was okay. Well, one of the party lines, I guess, was somebody who knew the friend who I was getting chewing tobacco for. He ended up getting in trouble because his wife heard on the party line, picked it up and was listening. He's not supposed to be chewing tobacco anymore. His doctor told him to quit that. Turned out to be a big fight. I just wanted to get candy.
Oh, shit.
Yes. I remember by the time I got back, there was an argument going. The phone calls happened. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, what am I doing? I didn't do anything. Like, that lady called the store. It's not my fault. I'm 7. Like,
It's not my fault.
how my fault? Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So paper route's a good start. and-
I know we're on a tangent, but I'm gonna keep going.
no
here.
tangent. Yeah, go.
Telephone. First of all, I had just recently read a story. I didn't even realize how much a phone bill cost back in that time too. So I'm aging myself again. So we had a system, or grandma, the one grandma, not all the grandmas. She wanted to talk to you or talk to mom. It was you call, let it ring once, and she'd hang up. Well, you got to call grandma. So then my dad, when he moved to Wisconsin, long distance phone calls were ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So if I wanted to call dad, I'd call him and ask for it to be collect. My mom was not going to pay for my dad's phone call. So I'd call, say it's a collect. Basically how they do it from prison now, I think, right? You got to collect call from Jimmy, and my dad would decline it and then call me back because the price was double if he took the collect call, right?
Right.
So those two things. And then the note thing, it's kind of similar to your situation. All of a sudden, the babysitter who wanted cigarettes was forging my mom's name, and then I get caught, and mom like, you're buying cigarettes for her? I'm like, no, she's buying them, mom. I was such a smart ass. I was, to everybody, it didn't matter. It was my grandma, my mom, my sister. No, mom, I'm not buying them. She's sending me to the store to get them. And then we were losing trust all of a sudden, right? So I quit doing that. And
Yeah, you were Uber for cigarettes. You're just the middleman. That's not your fault.
oh my god, it's so much fun though.
Yeah,
we get away with anything we could get away with. Okay, so paper route. I ended up moving to Hudson, moving in with my dad. My mom still lives in Woodbury, at the same house where I delivered papers. I delivered paper to my own house, which is usually the MO. You didn't have to go far. And then met a gal out there, had a kid. He's 30 now.
Shout out to Anthony, one of my favorite nephews.
Yeah, and his mom unfortunately passed away a few years back now. But even before that, we got divorced, and I met Jason's wife's sister, and we got married, and we got a 20-year-old, which was on some of our subject of getting into construction work right now for Brad.
Right.
So, nice.
Yeah, and that's why we were chatting with you before we got on the recording here. I mean, it is my nephew, but I've done this with non-nephews and non-nieces lots of times. The start of this show, the antithesis, was getting more kids to think about the trades, and your boy has been hard into it since 15.
Yeah.
Killing it, like smart young fella doing the work. He's lucky. He's getting into the job early that it seems like he's going to try to be in construction somehow through his career. And I'm just happy to see there's people who are young that are getting it. So it's good, man.
Yeah, and I don't want to take a lot of credit, but there was a stretch there, and he was probably from the time he was 11 to 15. I seemed to pick up these, and I guess just side jobs because I quit doing side jobs as soon as Brad was born, so I haven't done a side job in 20 years, basically. Somewhat. Anyway, but then it was sheds. Everybody wanted a shed. Steve Walton wanted a shed. Shout out to Steve. Then mom wanted a shed. Then Steve's uncle wanted a shed. Then Steve's dad wanted a shed. So, and Brad was helping me on literally half of them because I got to the point where I was assembling them at home in my backyard, hauling them up on my flatbed trailer. And he wasn't there for the installation, but Brad was like, oh, okay, I'll help you, slamming the shit together. And then I think the precipice was when we built my shed in the backyard. And then beyond that, then when we built the garage in my backyard, he stick framed all the walls. He just went to town, and I did. We prefabbed all those walls before we stood them up, which was a trick, and I had plenty of help there, though. So he got bit by the bug because by the time we're setting roof trusses, I'm swinging with the crane. The two of the friends of mine that came help, they want nothing to do with being up on the walls, walking the walls. Well, Brad's just scurrying back and forth, tying in the trusses the whole time, and then he helped me sheet the roof. That was interesting. We were out there in the dark that one night, and Jason helped me with the floor in the loft, and Brad helped me up there too. And then all of a sudden, long story longer, COVID hit, and he had that whole winter off. or no school. He was doing school on his phone and went up, started framing. And he was framing right in Newport, just right up the hill. And Mom would give him a ride because she's a school teacher. She had time to give him a ride. You know, it was just, everything just kind of went together. And now he's, you know, Kyle asks him back and he goes back. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's
it's
a success story from COVID where so many of the kids were less social, all the stuff from home. Brad got Zoom, maybe passed the statute of limitations now because he's graduated. Phone in his pocket, kind of on Zoom school. Walk-a-walls framing with his old man. It was crazy.
Hey,
like,
man,
good on him. Like,
right. Like, what are they going to do?
Right. And he still learned.
Yeah.
And he was working to make money at the same time. Like, he was actually, looking back, it was genius.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that was good.
Yeah, so.
Well, and back to the social thing, we put this loft in the garage, and it became the weekend. We're going to Brad's. There's a couple pool tables up there. There was his PlayStation, his computer. So every weekend there was a half a dozen to a dozen kids going up there. They loved it because they didn't get to see each other. They didn't get to go to school together for that whole stretch there either. So,
right.
You know, and that same group, we always took them to the cabin. We'd always rent the cabin once a week. And I'm like, bring them all. Let's go, you know, and yeah.
I got to give you credit. You've always been good for that, but specifically with the loft, like, I don't know if you saw that coming with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
But you're so chill about it. You're like, yeah, hang out. Just hang out safe. And yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like, don't disturb the neighbors. Like, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty hard to do. We were in the woods, and we got an apartment on one end of us. It was not a problem. Until the parking thing. And when they all started driving, then it was, okay, you guys, you can park in the yard once it's frozen. And then once spring comes, you can't park in the yard because you're going to destroy it.
Right.
You know? But I don't know.
Well, then you get young people going, that's where I always parked. Yeah, well, you need to understand my yard. Just believe me.
Right.
Oh, that's good stuff, man.
Hang out, don't do stupid shit, have fun.
Yeah, that's basically it. No, I can honestly say you're way cooler about it than I would be. I would find it a little aggravating once in a while, but I mean, it's pretty regularly, so that's good. I'm glad they have a place, though.
They were all really good kids, and when I walked through and I saw something I didn't like, I would point it out because I'd been around them so much. They didn't really think of me as like a parent or father figure, but they just listened to me on that level. Hey, look, guys, don't ruin this for yourself. And I just put it that way. And I mainly say that to Brad, like, don't ruin this for yourself, you know? And then it just kind of went that way. And even before we had the loft, when we were taking them up to the lake all summer, you know, a couple weeks of summer, they understood, you know?
Right. Yeah, kids are always better when they're not at home. When they're with somebody, they're always more respectful than they are when they're at home.
Well, I could have never had him framing with me because it would have been, you know, button heads. We would have got nothing done, you know. Right. He's a good listener, but he doesn't listen to Dad.
No, they don't listen to the parents. We don't know shit. Come on now.
Right.
We're idiots.
Is that how it is?
Yeah, it is exactly how it is.
I always have to just defer to everybody because I think every one of our guests has had kids so far.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think except for Leanne.
Yeah,
except for Leanne. Everybody else has had kids. I just get to sit back and go, so this is what it would have been like.
Well, and to clarify, too, it is just from like 14 and a half to, at least for boys anyway, it's like 14 and a half to little after 18. 18, they think they got it. They know it all.
Oh,
like, that's it. You're wrong, Dad. Yeah, I'm good. And then, now he's 20 and he's more like, hey, can we do this? And he's accepting some of the things I'm kind of leaning towards, you know.
So, and by the time they're 25, at that point, they go, yeah, you were right.
Oh, yeah. I see it now. Sorry. So I had this experience. I know lots of people have. I don't suspect it happened with Brad, but I got to know. Or Anthony, maybe, for that matter. Did they ever get to the point in those late teen years where they squared their shoulders up and thought they could take the old man?
No, that
never happened.
That went away with me. I think my one time, my dad was just the gentlest giant, right? But all of a sudden, I was doing my smart ass thing. I knew not to do it as much with my dad, right? But for whatever conflict we were going, he'd point at me and finally got his attention, basically trying to get his attention. He pointed at me and put his finger like on my shoulder here. And I went, oh, that's it. And he goes, you don't even know what you're going to get yourself into. And I went, oh, all right, I'm good. And I left it alone. So, no, both Brad and Anthony, I would say it would take, 5 times to tell him something, but they would finally, okay, I'll clean my room. Anthony was actually better. Anthony not liked cleaning, but he would. You know what it is with teenage boys. It's just getting the crap off get these clothes down to this laundry room and what are we doing?
Dishes
here?
in the kitchen, laundry in the proper place.
Yeah.
Like, sure. I'm not a parent, but I can't appreciate that as a guy. I know I did the same thing.
I kind of, in a way, hinted, oh, what are you doing today, Brad? You want to... And I wasn't even bringing this up. And he's like, I got to do laundry. And I'm like, oh, yeah, good.
It's funny you mention it.
Yeah. Start now so you get it done.
Yeah. It's going to take him all day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff, man. So... Paper route was the start, and we obviously have heard you've been doing some framing. So was that before or after your first boy was born? It was around that time you started getting into like construction, right? When did that start?
Oh, yeah. I was 17. We used to go help. A friend of mine's dad had a framing outfit, and we weren't like all over the time always doing it. But I should say before, I had those fast food jobs from the time I was 15 to 17. And I'm like, well, construction's kind of fun. Let's do that. And, and as well, we were building forts when we were kids. I mean, it's a Midwest thing, I'm sure it is. Mm-hmm. And I was out there at such a young age building forts. The older kids I got such good practice because the older kids would come and take ours down to use our material. Then we'd have to go find more material. It was just a recycling thing all the time.
Right. Where were you finding, air quotes, this material?
We walked the neighborhood a lot. And
that's a pretty common thing. People, stealing material is basically what everybody says.
I literally lived. I don't know if I point the house out to you sometime. Well, you know where Tony lives now. That was Grandma's house. Our house was actually closer to the railroad tracks. So where we're sitting right now to where my truck is out on the street was where the railroad tracks were in my backyard.
Oh, wow.
So sometimes shit would fall off the train. Sometimes, Would
that be... Yeah. So I got to know, actually, I want to get into this because was that when the train was stopped or just moving slow? Were you brave enough to go on a slowly moving train and find materials that fell off?
I was constantly reminded... Don't even go near the tracks. So it kept me away from the tracks. Mostly. But no, the fact that I lived right there, we were a popular spot for my friends to come that were fort builders. Not all my friends were fort builders. We had all kinds of different colorful friends and did other things. But the kids I'd build a fort and they're like, this is sweet. I'll probably be gone by Sunday because the older kids are coming. And what would get me is honestly, one time my fort got tore down. I'm over at the neighbor's house and they got Kiss blaring and they took my plywood and made fake guitars and dressed up like Kiss. And I'm like, this is super cool, but you tore down my fort for this nonsense, we were all into it, but it was just like, man, whatever. That was one experience. But then eventually they were actually playing instruments and being really loud garage band and not a lot of originals, but they started playing things besides Kiss. So that was really cool.
No, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And yeah, you're definitely right when it comes to the Midwest. I think we as kids, like I was never home, right? I was never home. I was out doing stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
Streetlight Mafia.
There was there was a lot of forts, being built. I mean, me and my buddy he was up on 40 acres and we used his backhoe and we actually dug one into the ground.
Nice.
Made a huge, gigantic hole, covered it up. His dad got super pissed and filled it back in. He's like, you can't have that. The neighbor's cattle are going to fall in there. Don't do that.
Well, see, where I was, it wasn't, I guess maybe it was just a generation thing. I mean, we had lots of woods around, like my house backed up on a green space, but I didn't skateboard. I mean, like I rode one, but I didn't never learn tricks. It was helping friends build skate ramps when I was young.
Ramps.
And that was all stolen material.
Oh yeah.
Unless you had one friend, like there's always a couple friends on the street that their like parents had a few bucks, or their dad or mom would go out and get them what they wanted. But most of the time, we were scoping construction sites on BMX bikes, looking for just whatever we get for free.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
No, that was the same. We built. I helped build a couple ramps. I wasn't in charge. Again, it was always the older kids that had a little bit. So it's not a generation thing. It was the older kids that were building these skate ramps when I was growing up. We were like, well, we just want to build a fort and pretend we're, Davy Crockett or something.
Anything than what we are.
Yeah,
right.
man. I found a stick that looks just like a gun. Like,
Yeah.
that was
Right.
a big day as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't that look like a rifle? Like, perfect.
Right.
Oh, that's great.
So I
man.
had aptitude. I knew how to drive a nail. I knew, I guess lack of a better word, redneck engineering. Like, oh, we can make that happen, right? I mean, yeah. So had that aptitude, and I mean, as much as I was a smart ass, I was cerebral too. Like, I liked putting shit together. Well, if it was too cold or winter, it was winter. I had the biggest collection of Lego that any of my friends. Well, Tony Constant had, but shout out to Tony. He had a bigger Lego collection than I did, but I had a good size collection, So we did that, and we had the Hot Wheels cars. I did take the cake on the Hot Wheels cars. My trek started at the top of the basement stairs, went down over the pool table, and all the way to the front of the house. So it started at the back of the house, made it all the way to the end of the house, and it had a loop-de-loop,
Mm-hmm.
What would you even call that?
Exactly what it
a
is.
loop-de-loop.
Loop is just fine. Yeah.
And I had so many cars that I had a finish line, and we would do brackets. We'd have a draft where you pick your car, and it was just
That's funny.
We had a blast. So, and that's again, we're off to toys and all this other crap. We're not even talking about construction.
But that's part of the show, though, dude. The framework is construction, but this is the way guys and gals talk, sitting around sharing stories at the break table, right? This is the show. You don't have to worry. This is what happens.
Well, and that's so funny because, as you said, as you get older, and as you got older, you did the shitty, I call them shitty jobs, the shitty teenager jobs of the fast food and stuff like that. The temporary jobs that I think a lot of people need to have just to have a sense of, I've done that work. I don't want to do that work.
Saving for a car.
Right.
That was your next thing. Saving for a car and saving for insurance.
Right.
So.
And then, but then you got into the trades. Then you actually started framing full time, and I think a lot of kids, they don't get the same experiences that we did as youth in order to spark that drive or that knowledge of, dude, I actually really like building some shit.
Yeah.
Like, because kids don't do that anymore, right?
No.
Like, my kids have never built a fort unless it was a bed sheet fort.
Yeah, a blanket fort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
blanket fort inside the house. They've never gone tromping through the woods by themselves.
No.
They've never done any of that.
Yeah. Well, and I can say again, going back to Brad, and he's very new generation. And I find out, day or two after, where the heck were you all night? That kind of thing. But but I kind of did the same thing. You better not be doing that anymore, all right? That kind of thing. But no, I totally agree with what you're saying. But I got to defend them a little bit because they could be our next designers, our next engineers. Not that I get along with those people very well either, but you know what I mean?
Oh, you're 100% right, yeah.
They're doing the technical work on the computer. I have a nephew who's now into auto body, and actually he was at downtown at some competition for it anyway, but he was into Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Okay, so it's like
John's big into it.
so when I saw it, I'm like, well, this is just Lego's 2-dimensional, But I mean, it's kind of got a 3-dimensional feel. But he was kind of doing that same thing,
I never thought about that. Minecraft is computer Lego, kind
Yeah,
of.
pretty
I mean, you can dig and build, but yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I brought it up before, actually. I liked Legos when I was a kid. I only had 2 real experiences with Legos. My nephew, shout out Connor if he's listening, when he was young, I mean real young, he got an overly complicated, coincidentally, crane that actually had the little winding motor and whatnot. I went in after about half an hour. I'm like, all right. He was like 5. It said, 10 to 15 for the difficulty for the age range. After half an hour, I'm like, I should go and hang out with my nephew for a little while and help him put that together. I walked in, he was already lifting stuff up with it. I'm like, okay, so you're bright. Got it. All right. No need to do that with you. And then we had a friend who lived up the street. I wish I could remember the kid's name. We didn't really get along, but we were young. His dad was a bigwig with McDonald's. And every Halloween, we talked about in our Halloween episode, he would hand out the coupon book for 5 free Happy Meals.
Oh.
Not an ice cream if you bought one. Click Happy Meal. He had a full-size, life-size Ronald McDonald made out of Lego in their house as a statue that someone had lacquered so it was never coming apart. I wish I could get a photo of it now in their home, like life-size. It was so weird when you walked in. You were like, it was accurate but creepy because Lego's kind of a little off, right?
Right.
But no, I was never a giant Lego guy.
We couldn't afford Legos.
They were expensive.
I never had Lego sets. I never had Lincoln Logs. It just wasn't in the budget.
Okay, did you have jigsaw puzzles or?
Oh yeah, we had jigsaw puzzles
Because we did a ton of them too. There was other stuff. Well, we get to Grandpa's and oh man, he had jigsaw puzzle going constantly.
Yeah, there was always one on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom was always working on one.
Yeah,
and
grandmas and aunts and moms. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I'd always drive her nuts because I'd sit down and I'd do a big portion of it and then walk away. She's like, "You did that much? Just do the whole thing."
Yeah, yeah. We were told, well, not all the time, but if Grandma and Grandpa were in earshot, every piece you got, you had to say bingo. And then if you start rattling them off, then they'd come and look and they'd make sure you weren't trying to force that thing.
Yeah. That doesn't actually go there.
No, I know.
Are you aware they very regularly at some of the small town bars, especially in Wisconsin, have competitions?
I was not aware at all.
We have been out cruising on the motorcycles in the summer, and we'll go into one of our random bars. We go into a lot cruising around, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of people in the back. They all get the same puzzle.
Okay.
I've seen teams of 2, teams of 3, and teams of 4 for some of the bigger puzzles. Prizes, entry fees. They all sit down, start a timer, go.
Wow.
Got a judge walking around making sure people aren't forcing pieces into play. It's wild.
That's crazy.
I never would have thought, but the people who enjoy it really seem to enjoy it. I always thought it was sort of a relaxing, meditative thing, just putting the pieces
It can
in.
be. That's the thing. It can be. But a competition,
Seems to take the fun out of it,
well,
right?
I got to believe the people that are doing that got 2, 3 going at home all the time too. They're just they're into that. I don't know, but yeah, I got a Rubik's Cube once, and just lack of a better. I'm not that smart. I'm kind of smart, but I took the thing apart and jammed all the pieces back together.
Most of us have done that or moved stickers.
God.
I've moved stickers. I'll admit.
I couldn't stand that thing.
I had a friend back home. Their son was so bright. This kid, they got him. He started with the regular Rubik's Cube. Fun little tangent here. But then they started getting him all the oddball shapes in Rubik's Cubes, like the triangles and the big. And you could literally sit there and have a conversation like we are with him face to face and mix one up, not looking at it, and toss it to him. And he'd look down at it and still carry the conversation, solve it, set it aside. And you could just constantly do that with this kid.
Have you seen the speed ones on the internet yet?
Yeah, it's insane.
Dude, they're my new favorite videos. I saw one the other day. Someone takes it. They put a blindfold on Jimmy. And in this case, it was a young Asian kid. Okay. They take it away from him, mix it all up. He doesn't do it himself. He doesn't see it done. They set it down in front of him. At the moment he takes the blindfold off, he hits his own timer and then does it and hits the timer again. Mm-hmm. Less than 2 seconds.
Oh my God.
Flash to one of my favorite new people on the internet. I wish I remembered his name. It shows this kid go, bop, 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 and done. But in a blink of an eye, basically.
Oh, man.
Flash to a regular dude somewhere in the Midwest trying to get the paper towel or the toilet paper roll started.
Right. Come on.
It's just the way it goes. Yeah, the Rubik's Cube thing. Yeah, I saw some of my cousin's stuff had the weird shapes over the years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was crazy.
But I was a huge fan of Tetris, and I would get addicted to Tetris. Because when we first started playing it, obviously you go to the bar with Dad. He shoots one game of pool with you. And then we had a Tetris, and it was like, all right, I'm good. Dad has his beers, and I'm over here playing Tetris,
Was there a Tetris stand-up game?
Yeah. Oh, that's how we first started playing. No, it was a video game.
Yeah, it's arcade game.
Arcade
version.
game.
Yeah.
I guess my first experience with it was probably
Nintendo.
It was probably my
or
first
Sega,
experience.
I think, had a version too.
Yeah. Mine was like the Game Boy version.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that might have been my first one too.
Oh, if if they had that when I was not past my Tetris phase, I would have became a hermit.
Listen, it was the Candy Crush or Pokemon of our generation.
Oh
right?
God, it was so fun. Well, and here's the thing: as you get older, you got to pack the truck for the weekend or the week trip, right? And it was always me. All right, get out there, you pack the truck, and I had. All right, leave that there for a second. I got somewhere for that, and then, okay. And then I'm doing it, and I'm getting all done. And everybody's got the not the last one, the time before that, it was 90-some degrees out. We're moving my sister, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I think I got it. And we got it all in this tiny little enclosed U-Haul trailer, and then I didn't have to go unpack it, thank God, because I was like, you guys, because I found a little nook and cranny right here. Yeah, that'll go right there. And then the long, skinny stuff, that'll go right on top.
Dude,
right there.
You put your hand on my chest, didn't push me away when we were moving in here and we were loading up the U-Haul. You put your hand on my chest and went, I got it.
I don't remember that.
I do, but you did. So it turned out like the 5 minutes of me being frustrated going, I can pack a goddamn trailer, Jimmy. And then I watched how you were doing it. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's getting more in than I would have done. Okay.
I appreciate it.
Tetris did kind of lead you into the adulthood of helping the buddy move. Right?
Oh, yeah.
But I remember specifically, right on my chest, like, it's okay, man, I got it. Like, okay.
And I'm sure I kind of offended. I know
No,
it
it didn't offend me.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where you stand back sort of wide-eyed going, well, he must know what he's doing. Like,
yeah. Well,
That's funny.
We never had. I shouldn't say never. I never had a trailer. I mean, I have a flatbed trailer, but we used to pack for the week, And the you remember this? The gals would come up with so much food, and the food is the toughest thing to pack. Right. I'm like, the grocery store is 10 minutes. I say it every year. The grocery store is 10 or 20 minutes away. Let's get up there and assess the situation instead of hauling food up and hauling it back. Every year is the same thing. Because the food is the toughest, especially the stuff you got to keep cold. And depending on how far you got to go, and that cooler's got to go last because it's the heaviest thing that you got to load and unload. But meanwhile, I'm doing sleeping bags, air mattresses, I'm doing blankets, I'm doing the bicycles. Bicycles aren't easy if you don't have one of those old bike rack things. It's like, oh, it's going to go in the boat, I guess. And when you're pulling the boat, actually, it's like certain stuff can end up in that boat, and you're pretty good, And then you get up there, and everybody's like, let's get unpacked. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have a beer, and I'll get to that in a minute,
Right. Calm down.
Yeah.
I've always agreed with you. The overpacking of the food, it's crazy.
They've gotten better. They have gotten better.
They have gotten better. And I will say, I won't shout out the specific sister, but instead of bringing a loaf of bread and sandwich meats and cheese and whatnot, pre-making sandwiches and firing them back in the bread bag so that they're ready to rock and roll is genius.
Yeah,
sorry,
it's fantastic.
I taught her how to do that.
That's fine. I'm glad that you did. I love it. That's one I totally agree with. No condiments on it. You bring that, mayonnaise, mustard, whatever.
Yep.
There, sandwiches are ready. That takes care. And then you got 20 minutes to go to the grocery store and get the shit when you get there. I totally agree.
We should inform the listening audience that you don't have to be specific, but Jason, me, and brother-in-law Sean are three brothers that are married to three sisters, and God bless Peggy. Grandma Peggy used to come with us every year too. So, and it was a blast. And the three kids were all the same age. And
a couple of dogs kicking around.
Yeah. At one point we had 3 dogs getting wet all day long. It was a hoot. It was. We didn't realize it at the time, but it was redneck, man. It was get up there and plop down. We'd play games, yard games, and all kinds of
play
crazy
shitty campfire guitar.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we tried that a couple times. Yeah.
There ain't nothing wrong with that.
Oh, we still got Grandma Peggy, and God love her. She's the best. Once in a while, she'll have a couple drinks, or be having a fun family. Oh, you guys should play the guitars. Like, well, we didn't bring those. But sorry, like intentionally, we're not doing that. That was a one-time fun event. Like,
yeah. Well, because the other 2 talents are not me. Let's put it that way.
Well, hold on. Hash brown.
Yeah, let's not mention that.
Hold on.
I mean, it was fun. I had fun, but
Jimmy was in a garage band in his youth called Hash Brown that we did a resurgence of. Yes, I played a little more guitar than you had. I'm still a campfire guitarist. We've said before, and our theme music in the show. Our brother-in-law Sean, an amazing musician. He did the theme music for the show, right?
yeah, he's the
incredible,
quintessential talent of the group.
Yeah,
sure.
very, very good. And I've said for years, buddy, because we're in the trades. We work with a lot of other people all the time. You'll eventually hear someone complain about everything. I've heard so many people complain about their in-laws over the years. Oh my God, did we get lucky?
Oh yeah, we hit the jackpot.
The mother-in-laws are great. My brother-in-laws are good. My sister-in-laws are good. Like I hear so many people complain. I'm like, there's a couple people in the family I avoid, but they don't come to many family events. Like we hit the jackpot.
Well, and here's the thing again. I was doing it Friday night to your wife. I razz her. You know, she's like my sister. I've known her over 20 years, and it's like, all right, and I have to say, yeah, I'm being a pain in the ass again. I'm sorry. And then, I don't know if it softens her up or kind of it makes her off bent a little bit. She left her glasses at the restaurant, and she felt so bad about having me have to turn around. I'm like, Mickey, I don't care. I'm in no hurry.
We're 2 minutes away.
Yeah,
It's fine.
let's go back and get them before we get too far away. So she is my sister more than just my sister-in-law.
For sure. Yeah. We've got a tight enough knit family that those in-law terms, they're just for show now.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring up the glasses thing. So real quick, we, as a family, we go to fish fry a few times during Lent. We're not card-carrying Catholics or anything, but we love a good fish fry, all of us, so we try to get out a few times as a family event. Yes, Michelle left her sunglasses behind. We turn around. We were only a few blocks away. We go back and get them. I was this close, and for everybody listening, it's a real small finger amount I'm giving here, to saying, you didn't even have your sunglasses. I almost dug my heels in, buddy. It was a good thing I didn't.
I hinted to it too, but then when she said I wore them in to the restaurant, I'm like, I do remember seeing her wearing them in. So, and they're good pretty expensive sunglasses. So I could understand it. And she was trying to off-put it. I'm like, where would you hurry to get to? It's 7:00. We got here early. And we're not going to a movie, or we're not going to a show or nothing. Unless she was trying to hurry back to get the precious puppy, but I think that was all under control too.
That was all under control. She was looking to have another drink, hang out with everybody. I think she was just excited to be out, which we can all appreciate. Small side note, I've been, and I'll clarify just so you don't get the wrong idea. I've been texting with your sister, who's going to be a guest with us here as we've been talking.
Oh my!
She said good luck on the recording. She wants to come on. She wants Reed to come on.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I think those are both. So shout out to Amber and Reed. We're looking forward to having both of them. Amber is a therapist we're going to have on in the future here, folks, and I think we're going to do it. And I think she does a lot of relationship counseling, but therapy in general. She's going to do us, buddy, you and me. She's gonna break down a few of the issues that you and I have, and I think that's going to be.
Have you met her, John? Okay.
No, yes, you have.
Yeah, I have.
Briefly met her. Or Michelle's 50th.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Michelle's 50th.
All right. Well, she can't get it done in a little session here, but
I think she
hang
could point,
in there, buddy.
She could point out some things.
You guys got a box of tissue around here somewhere.
I'm sure we got something.
We got something.
Oh, I love it. I can already tell this is going to be a second interview if you have a good time, Jimmy.
I'm having a great time. Don't worry about it.
So we'll try to get a little back on track here, folks. But again, this show is always just about the normal conversations we'd have sitting around the job table. So this is exactly what it is. The amount of different jobs that you've done, all within kind of the same area, because you've done framing and are now in a different format we'll get into in a little while. But you had done remodel, new construction, some demo work. Over the years, what part of the stuff you've done do you think you learned the most doing? Was it doing remodeling work?
Oh, well, it's a complicated question, because you do learn a lot from remodeling because of what you're learning almost every trade in a residential sense. I've only done the remodeling in the residential sense, right?
Which is fine, yeah.
You learn a lot, but there's so much mystery there. And then all of a sudden you open this can of worms. It was never my forte, and I would usually, because that's mostly what framers do, and it's an electrical thing, right? the least path of resistance to get to the goal. Let's go here. What are we doing? I can't have where I'm at, I can't have this tore up forever. And mostly if you're dealing with a customer, they just want it done right. And we mentioned him earlier, a friend that's his forte. He doesn't care how long it takes. He gets it done right, and he makes good money doing it. I've sat down when we be a little slow with the framing. Dave Morris, shout out to Dave. He lined me up with these people. An interview. I guess they kind of were interviewing me. They wanted to tear off the actual roof of their house, the framing, the whole deal, put a second story on, and I come off as, I guess, kind of arrogant, but I'm basically trying to talk them out of it. I'm like, you got a nice house here, and it's a nice area,
Right.
But I don't start off that way, but I go, here's what's going to have to happen. Well, first of all, I ask them, this is just one example. Do you plan on living here while we're doing this? Because I have done jobs like that where the gal was running a daycare. That wasn't one of my jobs. I was just kind of in charge of it. I couldn't believe it. And I could tell you about that job forever. Oh my God.
Go ahead. That's what we're here for, buddy.
Well, let me finish up this one first. So we're at a table like this. It's a married couple. I think they were empty nesters. I think this is 20 some years ago. And they're like, yeah, we really want a little more room. I think we got grandkids coming and we really like living in the area. And I'm like, okay, well, here's and I asked them, are you going to live here while we're trying to do this? Yeah, we really can't afford to. And then, okay, so when you hear that too, you're like, you can't afford to. Okay, got it. Or there's no other situation. You can't live with your kids or whatever that is, right? So then I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to live here, we can set a schedule. We're going to rip your roof off in a day, and you're going to have nothing for a very short time. And hopefully we get the next floor set and some plywood on it the next day by afternoon, all weather permitting, right? And then get the floor plywood on and tarp the sucker and be ready, right. And their eyes are starting to widen a little bit. And because I'm using adjectives like hopefully and rain schedule, and if a storm comes up and they're going, and so I can see it already. And I'm going, and we're going to need a certain amount of these guys. Your estimate is going to be here because we don't know exact measurements until we get this roof tore off, and then when we're done, I'm just scribbling stuff because I'd done that other one before on a piece of paper and rough square footage and dealing with the stairs and where the stairs are going to go, and gave them a number, and Dave kind of chuckles in Dave's way, and they looked at me, what? And I go, yeah, and that's me telling you, if you get a real contractor in here, you can guess that number's going to triple, okay? Mm-hmm. And I never heard from them again.
And that happens sometimes.
I mean,
right?
What are you going to do? I mean, but the other one, Terry Ostrom, shout out to Terry if he ever gets his name. Anyway, he set this thing up and he's like, Jimmy, we're going to put some we were middle of June. Perfect. He timed it perfect. Terry's a smart feller. And he's like, we're going to work 16, 17 hours just to make sure we can get this house buttoned up again, because you're still kind of in the rainy season in June. So we got the crane. We rented a crane and an operator, pulled that roof off in 3 sections, just dumped it in the backyard, shingles and all. And the way we had to do it, it was a hand frame roof. So Terry's like, wow, we really can't. This was amazing. We really can't tear the ceiling off, where the sheetrock or the finished ceiling in the main floor. We can't tear that off. We're gonna have to leave all that. And I'd done that before, so I was like, oh, that's no problem. And it was a hip roof, a hand framed hip roof, which means there's tons of convoluted hand cuts that go up into this deal to come together, almost like a pyramid. If you understand framing, it goes up to a point. You have a hip roof on this house, so I'm up on the roof initially, getting guys started. We start out with a skill saw and just cut a line about past the wall line So about 4 feet up from where like your fascia on the outside would be, where your gutter would be. And we just cut a line with that. Then we come back with chainsaws and just cut that whole line, and you hope that whoever, well, we already went inside the rafters and looked to see if it was all kind of braced up well enough that we could just be that aggressive. And then we went over and cut 2 lines. So we had 3 sections of whatever. And then all of a sudden, all the carpenters they're going, I'm not going up there. And I go, it's fine, I'll go up there. And so we cut holes to rig up the crane, and it was a wiggle here. Oh, it's still caught here. We go in there with a sawzall, cut it, swing these 3 sections of roof down for this whole house. And then all the fascia stuff we cut from underneath so it wouldn't be attached to the house. We just basically rolled all that shit. And we were already leaned plywood up against the house so it wouldn't hit the windows or the siding, and just rolled that right to the ground. And right away we're setting the floor trusses to get the floor on. And I think that first day it was getting dark, and we took 2 breaks, and the gal was super nice, super good looking too. And she, there is an issue when the homeowners are really hot shit, because I didn't have to tell her. I'm like, Terry, you got to tell her. I know it sounds dangerous for her to stay in the house, or it was on a farm, but she's got to just go away, because everybody stops working when she starts walking.
When there's pretty girls around.
And she wasn't scantily clad or nothing, but it was just, come on, guys, it's 4:00 now, and boom. And once you you have that deal where everything's falling in place, like putting together a Lego shack or whatever, you throw in the plywood, and you're almost done. Everybody's exhausted, and it's 9:00 now. Sun's going down, and she was, like I said, a great lady. All the carpenters, I should say, came up from way south, like south of Cannon Falls even or something. They already had a hotel room set up, and there was probably 6 of them. And so we're slamming beers right there in the driveway. Old school. This is stuff the guys in the 80s used to do.
Yeah, yeah, the good old days, man. Yep.
And she's got pizzas there, and I'm like, 2 pieces of pizza. I'll be back here at 5 a.m. And then next day, it did not rain. We made it. We got all the walls up. And then there was a threat of rain, but we never got the rain. And we got all the roof trusses set on the 3rd day. No, we got all the roof trusses set on the 2nd day with these amazing guys. And then got it plywood and tar papered by the end of the 2nd day. It was amazing. And then I'm like, Terry, I'm done. Don't ever do that to me again.
Right. Well, and this is one of the things we talk about a lot. Sometimes you just got to put the hours in to get a job done. It's not a 9-to-5 job.
Right.
No.
We're all aware of that. That's a good thing. I do want to drop back to a couple minutes ago just on one thing. You heard him say chainsaw, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So,
yeah,
you're up on a roof that could cave, but you're being real careful. I mean, none of the other guys wanted to do that, and I understood that, but I was the only guy that had done it before, and for lack of a better term, I was kind of telling everybody what to do. Terry wanted me there to tell everybody what to do, so it was all good, And if someone was gonna fall through, it was gonna be me. But I knew better,
I wasn't bagging on you about it. It's just for a lot of people listening, they're trying to picture. They hung up the same way I did on that, going, "What was he using the chainsaw on the roof for?" Yeah. I get it visually. That's the way to get. Trusses are long; they're wide, right? Like I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just when you said it so nonchalantly, it was funny.
Well, sawzall will work in certain situations, and you always kind of want to. Not that a lesson for Jimmy's lesson of the day.
Perfect.
You can cut through asphalt, but you do not want to hit rocks, dirt, or nails with a chainsaw, because your blade is instantly done. And and actually, the chain will come off the bar and you're screwed. So you have to conduct okay, there's no nails there, right? And you're kind of going slow. Like I said, we started out cutting with a 3.5 inch or a 10-inch blade saw. So we were almost all the way through the 2x6 and the roof plywood and the shingles at that point already. You're just finishing it off, and you're making these precision cuts. And yeah, it was fun. I can't, but I'm not that age anymore. So
I'm going to tell you right now, there ain't no way that you're going to see me standing on a roof with a chainsaw trying to make a precision cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't have the the ability to do a precision cut with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
But as you said, you were most of the way through, so that was just sort of like a finishing bit.
Yeah,
That
well-
saved you going into the attic space with a skill saw or a sawzall.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and that's more to me. That's more dangerous.
I completely agree.
This
Crawling
roof's
around.
gonna fall on me instead of me like, okay, it's falling. I can step back to where I'm safe again.
Right.
I stood on the safe part the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, there's an uncle of mine that he's God rest his soul, and I witnessed some of the stuff, most of the stuff that he did, and he got injured quite a bit. But the daredevil in me, and I think I passed it along to my son and my nephew, who's on his way here apparently. And
Oh, not today. Eventually.
all
Eventually.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a genetic thing, I guess. I don't know. I don't do it anymore. I don't do it anymore. So when you say you're not going to do it, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm done. I have a wife, on the other hand. We had quick story about chainsaw again.
Keep going, yeah.
We have this giant limb that hangs over, and it's right between the small little section of yard that I have between the, what do you call that? A garage, detached garage, the one I just built, and the house and the deck. Well, 2 Aprils ago, and this was the second time it happened, but 2 Aprils ago, she was home, and we had this big, wet, heavy snow, right? And this limb is down, right? It's touching the deck. Just spectacular. I'm taking videos of all the snow stuck to all the trees and everything limbing down, and she says to me, "Oh, good idea. You could trim that limb right now. I could climb it." Okay, and then I get catapulted all the way up to 12th Street, right? That's what you want to see? Oh, man, it was hilarious. Yeah,
It's funny that you say that's genetic because after we moved into the house a couple years, I just did not care to clean out my gutters. And I had your boy, Brad, and one of my other nephews, Aiden, over here, paid the boys cash and pizza. Hey, just get up on the ladder, clean out the gutters. You one guy do the house, one guy do the garage. One of them is up on the top of the ladder cleaning it out in a bucket, and your boy just walked right up onto the roof of my garage and just started cleaning them out from there because it was easier for him.
Yeah.
You talk about the daredevil. I mean, it's not a high garage by any means, single level, folks, but his immediate thought was, it'll be easier from up there. I don't care. I'll just get up there and do it. So.
Yeah, and the issue there is Mom don't like that stuff. But he saw me do all that all the time. We had one gutter at home. We don't have it anymore, but that's exactly what I would do. I'm not doing this off a ladder. It's disgusting, first of all, because it's getting all over my clothes. Not that I get cared, but I could get it done a lot faster. And then I drag the hose right up there with me, and I clean it out. You could almost eat off that gutter when I was done with it, you know. So.
No, it was clear that was his attitude when that happened, so that's good.
He goes over and does grandma's too, by the way. Not trying to advertise that it's a service provided by my son anymore.
No, that was just a family-friendly help. Yeah.
No.
Oh, funny.
All right. I'm sorry.
No, there's no stories needed. This is exactly what the program is, buddy. So we should point out real quick, though, we'll just take another little tangent off. John and I have talked recently, episode 48, when we recapped our hunting season. Jimmy is one of the other hunters when we go to the hunting shack. He's part of that. So,
Yes.
And we say shack. I mean, it's a house.
Yeah,
We've talked about it before, right?
That's how.
3 solid bedrooms up, and then a definitely comfortable couch. In fact, I think people fight over the couch because the couch it's a long, huge couch. I think Tony ends up on it most of the time.
Yeah, if you're willing to deal with the people who are staying up later, making noise, listening to music, partying, the couch is the spot. But no, it's a comfortable.
It ain't that
spot.
fucking comfortable. I'm telling you that right now. It ain't.
I don't like it either.
You didn't think it was comfortable?
No,
I don't like it either. But.
I'm too big.
Well, that could be. I am a short little fucker, so that is part of it.
I am far too big. No, it was a good time though. It was.
Well, it was
fun
nice to have you.
Yeah,
for
it was
sure.
my first year up there, and it was very welcoming. I have a confession to make. I felt really bad. We have a text string with Tony, right? And I was looking at my phone a couple weeks ago, and I'm all like, "Where's that text string?" Like, looking for it. Well, on my phone, if you swipe one right or left, it pushes it to spam, the whole text string. And I missed the last text he sent out about guys going up there.
Oh, bummer. He goes up there a lot, and he does it at the last minute a lot of times. Shout out to Tony. I like Tony a lot. But a lot of the times it's like, hey, I'm going up tomorrow. I'm like, man, I got plans weeks in advance sometimes. Like, I'm sorry, I can't make it.
Bring your chainsaws. I'm like, oh, clearing out again. Shit.
That's
I got to call him and be like, hey, sorry.
He's cool with it. Don't worry about it.
So you put in a ton of years framing, buddy, and still kind of working that part of it now. But you moved on to something that was what I kind of wanted to speak to you a little bit about today, real quick. And we don't got to go in deep, but for a while now, you've been and got trained and certified to run the crane.
Yes, yeah. 9 years now.
9 years. Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's a minute.
Right, that's a minute. Yeah, time flies, right? We've talked about it all the time. I understood your rationale behind that because, I mean, you don't want to be up there walking walls forever or whatever. Talk to us for a little while about the decision to get into running the crane and how it was learning and the experience, just whatever stands out to you.
Okay, real quick, a couple things. When we were framing, well, I should preface too, when I first started framing, we have these things called forklifts now. You guys have all seen them. They telescope. They can go out, 44 to about 54 to some of them go to 70 feet, I think, or something. But they're an actual terrain vehicle.
The lull.
Yeah, we call them walls.
The lull is one of the brand names. Pettibone, I think, Ingersoll Rand, Cat.
Pettibone's the old school name,
right?
Yeah. So when I first started though, I worked for a fairly old guy at the time. We did everything by hand. I was the Pettibone. I was you spent the first summer, the first spring, and it, rightfully so. The guy was older. He's not gonna. We called it hump studs. You're gonna hump joist. So you're gonna hump plywood. Yeah, that's all you did. You moved the material, right? So, but when we got to the roof, no doubt about it, we were doing roof trusses with a crane, and instantly, it was showtime. We had every carpenter that worked for. Sometimes when you're just framing the walls and stuff, it's 2-3 of us. But all of a sudden on crane day, we called it. And we had the trusses prepped. Everybody, there's 6 guys sometimes, all with the focus of getting these roof trusses up and getting that crane out of there. Crane's expensive. Any equipment's expensive. So that's where I first learned. You get a crane, it's go time. You better be ready. And we were. I learned from that right away. So when I first started too, when I first started with my own framing company, and I hired guys from high school, we gung ho. First couple houses, we did the same thing. But I wouldn't make everybody just hump material. I was also involved with humping material. End of the day, you're crashed. You're feeling great. Eventually, I was leasing one of the Pettibones myself, so I instantly getting experience running one of these large pieces of equipment. A lot younger than some of the other comrades, I guess, that I was learning this trade together with. And I'm like, well, this thing is saving me a lot of money. And as long as that sucker starts, I don't need to worry about a phone call saying, I'm hungover today, I'm not going to make it. Or, oh my God, I'm sick, I can't make it. The Pettibone didn't have that excuse. It was there, and I just need one other guy and make sure that we can slam walls together, straighten walls. And I still used a crane. I wasn't one of these guys, well, I'm going to use the Pettibone for everything. Nope, made no sense at all. Get the crane there, pay the money, get him out of there, and let's get the roof done. Okay, that's the preface of the deal. But I was also gaining so much experience running these things in sitting in the cab of that thing and knowing where to aim and set things down. I wasn't just using it for booming material up at this point. This whole thing, late 90s, everybody was prefabbing walls, and even everybody was starting to prefab floor sections. And when I say that, they come out on a truck. You unload them with the Pettibone. They're basically a bunk of truss or bunk of walls, or they're a bunk of floor sections, and a house would be done in 4 days. Not a huge house, but a big house. done. Like, we're done sheeting it. We were still setting windows back then, so that's an accomplishment, you know. And there was incentive pay. Anyway, you're just honing your skills, doing all these things, and running and these equipment and stuff. So, well, long story, everything kind of went away. 2004, 2005, so everything started to slip pretty quick. By 2008, there wasn't these huge companies anymore prefabbing residential homes. So I was doing remodeling there for a while, putting additions on, back to stick framing, and back, word of mouth jobs where you're just kind of, I'll take that, I'll do that house. Or there'll be a tear down house, and you're doing it again where you're humping everything by hand. You're still ordering a crane for the trusses. But anyway, that dried up too, and I went to work at a local farm around here, as just an order puller for one spring. By the next spring, they were asking somebody to go in and start practicing to get a CDL, a commercial driver's license, so you can drive these bigger trucks on the road. And I had some experience, but not, it was very intimidating, very, never done anything like that before, but I never really was afraid of it either. So anyway, I did all that. They let me practice on the farm, and initially they said, we want you to get your B, which for all you guys don't know out there, a B is just a heavy truck. An A is a heavy truck with a trailer, like you'll see a semi-trailer. So, but it could be any trailer. If you're in a commercial vehicle that's heavy enough, it's a trailer. So I said, well, if it costs the same I went to the people that were putting me through or wanted me to take this test to get this CDL for the farm, to become a truck driver for the farm. I said, you might as well have me get an A, because I already know how to back a trailer up. It's just a bigger, larger, have me get the A. It's obviously more difficult test, and I passed. So then, framing still wasn't coming back. I talked to some of my friends that were doing it, but I'm like, I got a pretty good gig here. I'm putting in a lot of hours. I get to set my own time, start time and end time, because I wanted to be home to pick up my kid from daycare and all this. It worked out perfect, basically. And all of a sudden, it's spring of one of those years, and I got Terry calling me, and he's like, hey, we got work. And I'm like, okay, well, this thing's kind of wearing out on me anyway, because I'm working a ton of hours, and now the kid doesn't really need me to pick up from daycare anymore. So I went back to framing. I had my own company, and I think Terry had a forklift for us. So I was just doing layout, but we weren't getting prefab walls. We were old school, still stick framing. And then Larry, who I worked for, Larry Barnable, shout out to Larry, Barnable Builders. And anyway, he gets a hold of me through Tom. Hi, Tom Corbett, manager. He gets a hold of me. He says, you want to come work for us, get back on payroll. And I'm like, well, that's a safer deal for everybody out there that thinks it's just great and rosy to have your own company, whatever it is, framing, catering. It's convoluted. You put in as many hours and you make less money. That's my opinion. But if you can make a go of it, go for it. I don't discourage that either. But so I went back to work for Larry, and I'm just framing. Well, word gets out, or Larry knew that I had my CDL, and he was already thinking about buying a crane. And I said, well, I got no problem doing that. Let's do it. What the hell, So I went through a crane training course, had to take a test, so I got certified. And he buys a crane, older crane for its vintage, just to see how this is going to work. In the meantime, Larry is also exploring becoming a wholesale lumber yard, and that is making way more money, and it's more profitable than this framing side of the company anymore. So really, I'm expensive. I'm the most expensive part of the company, but at the same time, the builders it's residential for everybody to know. The builders we do all this for, They love buying packages. They love saying, we're going to buy lumber from you. You're going to provide the labor. You're going to provide the crane so it's safe. And you're going to, boom, sign, boom, done. And we're out the door. One thing led to another. All of a sudden, we're doing good. We're kicking ass. And they got a really, really nice crane now that I'm operating. So that's pretty much it. Now we've had this crane. This will be 2 years, I think. June is how long we've had this crane. Yeah, it's a national crane, which is Manitowoc. It's a big crane, 45-ton crane.
Yeah, it's a big machine. I've seen it. It's a giant machine.
And to be clear, too, these are mobile cranes. I'm hitting multiple jobs a day. That's the residential thing. People if you see these things on the road, you can't miss them. They're right alongside you, which please stop texting and driving. There's a 45-ton crane right next to you.
They don't care.
Yeah, and don't pull right in front of something that's heavy and takes longer to slow down. You fucking jackasses.
Yeah,
like,
thank you
don't
for
give
that.
two shits.
Yeah, no, it's we've talked about it, buddy. It's brutal. Pulling trailers. I mean, I don't have to drive a gigantic crane, but even a full-size truck pulling a big trailer. Like, man, I just don't slow down. You want to cut me off in your Tesla, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it sounds like it worked out good. I know, I mean, like, I've used, lulls and pettybones and throughout my career and stuff, and regular, just even inside forklifts, like fork tractors. I have zero interest in trying to run a crane, because even the few times that I've taken sketchy loads up high with a lull, after a while with anything, you get comfortable and knowledgeable. But even towards the end, so like for us, a lot of our solar projects that I did with my company for a long time, all the material was getting dropped off on the ground, and you were constantly, and I mean constantly, lulling things up. Equipment, panels, pallets full of brick, that the whole time I'm just going, I know this machine can carry more than this, but every little shift on a windy day, every little twitch, I'm like, is this thing going to tip over? I respect you guys that are brave enough and have enough control to run a crane, because I know I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. In fact, there's guys that work for us now, and over the years, there's guys, well, especially when I was leasing my own pettibone and also having to do bids and go bid jobs, and I would be gone a lot of the day, and these are high school buddies, so that not all of them, a couple of them be like, what the hell you been doing? I'm like, you guys want more work, or what, and I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? Why is that just sitting there collecting dust? And we don't want to operate that. And then I turn back and I'd say, you know what, if you're not comfortable doing it, I don't want you doing it. It's fine by me.
That's a good attitude.
And so a lot of times when that, depending on who was there that day, I'd get it set up and I'd just leave it. You guys are, because this is the other thing we do as residential framers. You put your materials in this basket. I had a really sweet basket back in the day. And you could spend all morning on one section of roof, because I'm talking roof sheathing. You're sheeting a roof, but you have your fall protection right there as the basket. And your materials are right there. Your tunes are right there. Your guns, your fasteners, it's all right there. The only trouble is you got to climb down on the inside of the house. So yes, I'll say that to everybody listening. If you're not comfortable with something, don't do it. I mean, don't do what Uncle Jimmy did here. Don't go over on a roof with a chainsaw if you don't know what the hell you're doing. All right.
Yeah, knowing what you're doing is a big thing. And actually, through what you were saying there, you brought up two things that are really important to the show. Being able to stand out and go, I'll run a crane or whatever the piece of equipment happens to be, or the job they're asking you to do. You stepped up. You're like, I'll learn something new. I could put my tools down a little. If it helps out, makes things more efficient. A lot of people are nervous to do stuff like that, especially younger people in the trades. If you've got some experience, don't be scared to make a suggestion. Worst case scenario, your boss looks at you and goes, that's fucking stupid. Or it is a good suggestion, and you get to go learn a new skill. I assume they covered the cost of your training and everything, right?
Oh, they covered everything.
Yeah, lots of companies see the benefit of things like that.
Yeah, and one little side note, for everybody out there, everything you learn is only going to open more doors for you. It makes you more employable for employers in every part of the trades. I would be intimidated to become an electrician, because I've done the little bit I've done at home, and maybe some of these remodels, I can't stand it. And now it's even, and by the way, this is all coming to most of you. I can't see 12 inches in front of me without these goofy glasses on now. Mm-hmm. And you guys, I commend you. This morning, I'm just doing something simple, and I'm like, oh, where are these damn things? I gotta put these on, and then you put them on. And I'm like, oh, this, whatever. I just got to remember to put them on. But anyway, two things. Yeah, if you're not comfortable doing something, tell your foreman that it's not his responsibility. He's not. Screw him. And the other thing is, hey, if you're not afraid to do it, or you have a little bit of experience, and I would say the worst thing you could do is not think about it. Go home and think about it,
Right.
It's like asking a gal out on a date or a man, whatever you're into. I mean, the worst thing you could do is get told no. Right. I mean...
Well, and the answer is always no if you don't ask.
That's right. Well, I hear it 20 times a day at home.
You miss 100% of the shots, you don't take.
Right. No, and that's the deal too with cranes and stuff like that. Now I'm NCCO certified.
Good for you, man.
I carry my crane cert.
Did you meet Mike and Joe?
No.
Oh, you didn't do it locally here?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Oh no, Mike was his name. Older gentleman?
Joe was the dad, Joe Herzog. Shout out to Joe. And then his kids were Mike and I don't remember the other one. Did you?
I forget who actually did our actual test.
Because the other brother, I don't remember. Sorry, I forgot your name. But there was another, Mike's brother. I can't remember his name right now. But I got Mike's contacts and Joe's contacts. Joe's trying to retire, so that you might not have ever met Joe.
Right.
But anyway, when did you do the training?
Well, I did mine in 18. Yeah, 2018. So it was basically we got crane certified for digger derrick.
Yep.
Right. Digger derrick trucks. So people don't realize when you do that and when you're operating a crane, there's a level of sophistication and there's a lot of things in construction field has to be done by force. You either have to hit it harder, move it harder, or something, right? But when you're operating a crane, you have to be gentle with it.
Oh, yeah.
Finesse. Because finesse is the word that always came to mind.
Yes. Because you have to be able to do that because if you don't, that object is moving instead of 6 inches, it's moving 6 feet.
Yeah.
And you can hurt somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And you can kill somebody really, really fast.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so my point to this is when it comes to your crane operators, when they tell you to slow down, listen to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're operating the piece of machinery that's carrying your, 600-700 pounds of material that if it goes south, it goes way south.
Oh, yeah.
Not just a little bit.
Yeah.
It goes way south.
Yeah. No, and like I say, I don't know what would you call it, a derrick?
Digger derrick.
Digger derrick. I don't know what you guys do. But even though I have this very heavy force, it's a force of nature basically that I have to finesse, but I have to baby it towards all of these individuals and people. It has to strike perfectly. Mm-hmm. Well, not perfectly, but you try to get it as close to perfectly as possible without scaring the shit out of everybody, for one. And honestly, the heavier something is that I'm lifting, and knowing all your limits, like weight limits and your capacity and the wind, there's a lot of things to figure. The sun in your eyes, and sometimes, that all kind of automatically slows you down. And I've not come across anybody yet to say I was going too fast, So then I already kind of know. I feel pretty good about how quickly. The other thing is, what do they call it at school, at training? Where you're constantly doing the same thing. Like when we're doing roof trusses, I'm picking here and I'm setting here, picking here, setting here.
You can get complacent.
Yeah. Well, no, what I'm saying, there's a term for it because there's still cranes out there, especially, when they're building levees or whatever, it's amazing, cool stuff. You get some videos on that. They come down and they scoop up a bunch of water and they swing it back, and it's just amazing, the flow. It's like a masterpiece, like a symphony, you know.
Yep.
I'm kind of doing that, but I'm doing it with a truss that probably weighs 60 pounds. So my crane is a little overkill, but at the same time, it's fast. I mean, this newer crane is a lot faster. And I like the first crane we had too. That sucker was fast too. But I can only go as fast as the individuals up there need the stuff. I'm not going to go any faster than that.
Right.
No, it's not going to happen. So.
Right. Well, and you get people on the ground as you're operating a crane. You get people on the ground going, come on.
Yeah.
It's like, shut up.
Yeah.
I will get this to you when I get this to you.
Yeah. In residential, in framing, I don't get a lot of that. I'm usually ahead of those guys. Now, there's once in a while, I think I can count on one hand where I had an old crusty guy like, what's going on? I go, well, and I constantly talk to your guys up there. I'm not the problem. Okay. I'm here. They're taking time. Do whatever you got to do. Just recently, actually, I'm doing the finger thing again. I'm squash you like bug. Right. This one guy was like, the guy up on the walls. He was telling me I was doing something wrong. Like, you're going too fast. I'm like, and it was, God bless him, he could speak English. And I popped my head out of the hatch and I went, tell this guy to stop doing what the guy on the ground is actually, we have a tagline when it's super windy and when you're hauling something up that's super light, it's like flying a kite. Yep. And I go, talk to this guy right here because he keeps yanking on that thing and it's causing it to basically turn into a helicopter because he doesn't maintain. Meanwhile, I got the guy up there just going, no, you're going too fast. No, I'm not. I'm going as fast as I was for the 30 other trusses we just set. This guy just all of a sudden decided to hang himself with hanging onto that rope. Right. And it never even got that far. Because literally, if I pop my head out and say 4 words, everybody's like, oh, okay, we just want to get to lunch, all right? And I'm like, yeah, so do I, right. You know?
Yeah, with as few injuries to zero as possible.
Right.
For sure.
Right. Taglines are meant for stability, not control.
You're right.
That's
right.
A lot of guys, they're like, oh, if I just like yank on this thing, it's going to move that. No, just don't think while you're on a tagline, please, for the love of God.
It's something so simple with all the years of experience that we have. We forget that young people don't realize that momentum carries. So they're pulling when they should just be holding, keeping it from moving.
That's
they're like,
oh
no, it's going the wrong way. I got to if you jerk it, it starts to spin, and then we got a helicopter. Stop doing that. Like, yeah. Right.
I've even offered gloves to guys because I felt bad for them because the rope is running through their hands. But when it's windy, I have to react to the wind. I can't wait for you to figure it out down here.
Right.
It has to happen, or those 3 guys up there are in danger.
Yep.
And then at the very least, I have to just set it down, you know. And then everybody's like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "Well, I'll tell you what I did. I just protected you from getting hurt. You know, figure that out. You know."
Right. Extra skills will not always, but mostly come with an extra set of responsibility and things you have to watch out for. So, I mean, obviously, stepping up from using even a lull or a pettibone to a crane. Yes, you're now responsible for the load that's on that crane. You don't want nobody hurt.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people don't appreciate that you've now taken on the responsibility of that. They just see you sitting, and I'm not saying this, but some people will see you, oh, well, he's just sitting in the cab, just running the crane now. Yeah, but
it's part of our ilk, right, to give everybody shit on the job,
right?
And it's easy to sling it at this guy. You know, that's all he does.
He sits in that crane all day. Like,
there,
I appreciate the guys doing that stuff. Like,
yeah, well, and you know, you saying that a lot. I would say it's not even I guess I got a good group of guys because I haven't ran into a lot of assholes at all. And the best thing to do, obviously, pre-swing, I call it, or let's get together and find where we started and where we ended.
Pre-task.
Yeah. And then if something went wrong, even in the middle of what you're trying to do, okay, what happened? What are we doing? You know? And then afterwards, if you guys have any questions, and being residential framing, what I'm doing, and God bless these guys, I love them. I can communicate with 10% of them. And some of that is a blessing because then they have to learn their hand signals because that's an international language. Tell me what to do with your hand because I can't hear you anyway. And if we give you a two-way radio, you give it to a guy that I can understand. Otherwise, I'd rather have the guy in the window opening and just giving me a hand signal, because everything else doesn't make sense once I can't see.
Right.
You know, that's just the way it is. I mean, and I will stop the show. Guess what? I also have that power. It comes with a lot of power.
Right.
I have that power to go, you guys have not figured this out. Right. I haven't had to do that yet. You know, I'm a crane operator that will crawl out and put his hard hat on and get down and go, you guys got to, let's go here. You got to come here and do this. And most of the time they'll listen to me. Again, sometimes I'm on jobs where they're older guys and they just won't accept the fact that, okay, well, if you want to do that and you want me to see everything, then we're going to have to move all this into where I can see it, you know?
Right.
So,
yeah, no, it's good stuff, man. I've said this before on the podcast. I'm trying not to be super redundant, but John and I have mentioned it. Imagine doing the parts of the job that you need a crane or a lull or something for where you have an operator. Imagine doing that without that.
Right.
And then appreciate the effort that they put in for you. Do you want to carry that rooftop unit up? Do you want to manually try to get 50 guys and pull it up on a roof? No.
Right.
Be nice to the crane operators. And when you talk about hand signals, I was mentioning earlier about the solar jobs. A lot of the times when I was lulling stuff out really high up under a roof, I was landing blind. Trusting the person up there giving me the hand signals is so nice. When you get somebody up there who knows the right signals and they're giving you advance warning and slow down, and you can tell they're getting ready to whatever the signal is for stop. Like it's real nice when you get somebody who knows what they're doing. The hand signal thing is huge.
Well, and it's actually a requirement on my crane. I have this placard that has the whole chart of hand signals for that specific machine. I can print some off and hand it to them. I would have to get the Spanish version for a lot of them, which would be fine too. But my whole thing, because this is how I learned, you learn better by somebody explaining it to you and especially in construction, explaining it and showing it to you and telling you why this is how you want to go about things. And it's across the board. You guys know this. It's across the board. It's not just crane operation or signal calling or rigging. I mean, I've been on jobs where we're not going to rig that way, you guys. And then I've been on jobs where we started out, it wasn't very windy. Now it's windy. We got to do something else because we're in between two finished houses here, you know. We don't want to hit something. We don't want to break a window or whatever it is. We have to, you know, and in fact, almost every time, if I come out of that crane, they know it's something serious. They know, hey, he's here to, and I don't even have to, I very rarely have to run, but this is what I end up saying sometimes. I'm here to make your life easier, not harder. That's what I'm here to do, okay? So if I get down and out of the crane, I'm not here to bitch at you. Now, granted, there probably is some crane operators that get a little hot under the collar and be, you know, not handle situations as well, you know. But I'll be like, hey, no one's hurt yet, so let's start making sure we're not getting anybody hurt going forward here. Right. You know?
Well, and also the hot under the collar thing. I mean, I've known a lot of times when I'm working with a crane operator, they've, not always, but very often, they have somewhere else to go, if not multiple places, after they take care of this pick. They have a schedule too, so they're definitely trying to get there.
I'm here to tell you, when I get busy, or when any of these crane operators get busy, we're busy. But safety is still number one. We want the job. We were not going to leave the job hanging on you, you know. But you guys got to understand, we have places to go. People see. We're like rock stars, I guess. You know, some way, you know.
we got places to be, things to do.
Yeah, we definitely got things to do for sure, right?
Well, okay, yeah. Do I get to, like? Can I?
You got to have a timeout.
Yes, please.
You got to take a leak.
This crane operator problem, that, you know.
Yeah,
we can definitely pause for a split sec, or we can wrap up in 2 minutes.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So.
Yeah, we're done. Let's go.
Hey, I got another job to get to.
Right, yeah. two important things actually came out of that. The fact that we found our first guest that didn't have a nervous tick.
Yep.
Jimmy didn't have one the whole time. I've been looking for it, and he didn't have one.
Right.
So shout out the first guest who didn't have some sort of nervous tick.
Banging
Banging on the table or making a noise or pulling the Velcro on the. You're the first one who is comfortably just sitting there talking. So that's great. Yeah. We can dig in way more. Jimmy, I really appreciate you coming on. Various levels of experience through the system. It's what we want people to hear, and hearing about some of the crane work is just a reminder to people that you can learn a new skill to add on to what you're doing and still be in the same industry. Yes, it comes with some training and some education and some time and some more responsibility, but it's totally worth it. Folks, that you're listening, don't be worried about taking another step that might be a career builder, make yourself more employable, just like you talked about. It's fantastic.
Well, if I may do an add-on before,
please,
John,
please, yeah, we got time, buddy.
We missed all the. There was a gap in the years there that we missed, and I don't. It's still construction related, but the demo years.
Oh, no, we're gonna have you back for the demo.
Okay,
years.
This is throwing it out there that. And the last thing I would say, and I did say, don't be afraid to try things and don't be afraid to say no to things. But these trades guys and gals, they're all going to have their highs and lows. And if your aptitude is to be able to do things, other things, don't be afraid to do it. I'm a prime example. You just go out there. Run a jackhammer if you need to, or, sweep the floor if you need to. It doesn't matter. Anyway, go ahead.
No, but that's exactly what I was going to say. You summed it up perfectly, buddy, that when you talked about the slow times, you put the tools back on, you went back to build and stick.
Yeah.
A trade will always be valuable. Sometimes you live in the high life with the easy cake gigs, and then other times you got to tool back up and go back and get after it, right? So,
for sure.
You got anything else for him today, man?
Jimmy, no, thanks for taking your time on a Sunday.
Yeah, well, it's not nice out yet, and we're going to go make the best of it today. So
yeah, it's supposed to be a beautiful day today, actually.
Yep.
But thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time to sit down and chat with us. It's nice to hear other perspectives than what we deal with day to day. So that's pretty sweet, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, listen, we really hope that you come back. I would like to get into those in-between years. I just wanted to talk to you real quick about the crane stuff today because it was so much of adding to your career. Not getting stagnant, trying something new, and it has added value to you, added value to your company, so it worked out real good. And I just wanted to point out real quick before John and I wrap up with all the other socials here. I know we had talked recently, I think maybe yesterday or the day before, about I was going to show you some videos of some people doing some wild stuff with cranes, and you had asked me, it's not all disasters, is it? And I said, honestly, at the time, no, it's not all disasters. I was looking through a few videos this morning, except for one, they were all disasters, so I decided not to do it.
All right.
Yeah, they are.
Well, and I just want to step back again another. By the way, I've had very supportive family and always there for me. So these, not career changes, but down to my wife, down to my kids, of course, my parents, my uncles. My family has been there for me, so that's huge, people.
You need the support, everybody, going forward. Yep. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening again from the Eastside Job Trailer today. We really appreciate it. We're definitely going to have Jimmy back and get some of those in-between years. John, what would you like to tell the folks, buddy?
Well, hit us up on all of the website, and, look at the website. If you want to be a guest, find the Be Our Guest tab on there and fill out the form. Sign the media release. We'll sit down and have a little chat with you. Other than that, find us over at Instagram at ISOP Podcast. You can actually text Jason and I directly. Give us a little bit of time because we do work for a living if you do text us to respond to you. But that is at 507-607-ISAW, and that's 4729 on the end of that. Other than that, man, is there anything else that you want to add? Anything you're looking forward to?
Definitely still looking into the ISOC golf tournament this summer. If you want to support this little growing podcast, remember when you're on our website, isopodcast.com, the Buy Us a Beer widget just pops up right in the corner. You can buy us one beer or multiple beers. We appreciate everybody who helps support this little growing thing. And Jimmy, I just want to say thanks again for taking the time to come on with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. You guys are very professional. I liked it.
We're trying to grow this little shit show here. And as we always say, remember while you're out there being safe this week and getting after it, that your work keeps the world working. And cheers.
Sláinte.